Is Exxon a buy or a sell? Let's get started with the model. This is a large cap company, 517 billion market cap. They're trading at 118 a share, and they have 4.4 billion shares outstanding. Exxon engages in the exploration and production of crude oil and natural gas. It was founded in 1870, based in Spring, Texas. Let's look at their financials. The way you value a company is you estimate the free cash flows into the future, and then you discount those numbers back to today's value. That's what we're doing in this video. And free cash flow is cash flow from operations minus capital expenditures. Look how high their free cash flow was in 2022. Over 58 billion, their highest ever. The main reason was oil prices were really high. And you can see how much revenue they generated, 400 billion. A lot more than 2021, 2023, and the trailing 12 months. They still broke through 30 billion in 2023 and the trailing 12 months. Pretty good margins, between 10 and 15%. Net income is the profit or loss on the income statement. It's revenue minus expenses. That went from 23 billion to 56 billion, the highest ever. Then it dropped off to 36 billion in 2023, dropped a little more to 34 billion in the trailing 12 months. Margins a little lower, between 8 and 14%. Revenue is a sales for the company, and that peaked in 2022 at 400 billion. It came down 16% in 2023, up a little bit, up 2% in the trailing 12 months, almost 340 billion. They pay a nice dividend, 3.36%. They could almost cover that dividend 2 times with their free cash flow. We estimated 4 years of future free cash flows. We also estimated a terminal value, which is all cash flows past year 4, that's 760 billion. We discounted those numbers back to today using the weighted average cost of capital. We get a value of the company of $681 billion. We divide that by 4.4 billion shares. And we get a calculated stock price of 155. They're trading at 118, so they're trading at a 24% discount. It's a buy according to the model. Do you think it's a buy or sell? Let me know in the comments. There are 11 companies in the same industry as Exxon. If they have a number in red, they're worse than the median. If they have a number in blue, they're better. They spend the most in CapEx by far, 24 billion. All oil and gas companies need to spend a lot in CapEx. The upstream part of the oil and production process is the exploration and production. There's significant CapEx spend, also a lot of CapEx just to maintain their infrastructure. A really good debt to equity ratio, 0.2. For every dollar of equity, 20 cents of debt. That's equal to the median. They pay a nice dividend, 3.4%, between the median and average. BP is number 1, 6.1%. Total Energy is number 2 at 5.8%. There are 11 companies in the same industry as Exxon, and if they have a number in red, they're worse than the median. If they have a number in blue, they're better. They spend the most in CapEx by far, 24 billion. Lots of CapEx spend in the upstream part of the oil and production process. That's the exploration and production. That's actually pulling the oil from the ground. They have the best debt to equity ratio, 0.2 for every dollar of equity, 20 cents of debt. Dividend is equal to the average, 3.4%. BP is number 1, then Total Energies. They generate the most free cash flow, 33 billion. They're number 1 by a pretty good margin, $500 billion market cap. They're trading at 1.8 times book value, 15 times earnings, this should be blue, 16 times free cash flow, that's worse than the median average, and 1.5 times revenue, that's worse than the median average. They generate the most revenue by far, 340 billion, but they're not growing that much. Their 5-year annual revenue growth rate is only 1%. Their stock is 118, which is only 5% away from the 52-week high, 26% above the 52-week low. So it looks like there's some downside to the stock. If you put $10,000 into this company 10 years ago, you'd be unhappy for 7 years. But if you still held on, you'd be at $19,000 today, a 90% gain, a 7% annual gain. So to summarize, I have them trading at a 24% discount, ranking 5 out of 10. It's a solid company, although I'm not sure it's a great time to buy the stock. So to summarize, I have them trading at a 24% discount, ranking 6 out of 10. I think it's always a good time to buy the stock. 7 short-term, 8 long-term. Ratios are average, so I'll give it 5 out of 10. Same thing with their financial is 5 out of 10. Their revenue is up 23% since 2021, but their free cash flow is down. Let's look at their 10Q. Here's their income statement. The third quarter of 24, third quarter of 23. Revenue flat, 90 billion to 90 billion. 88 billion is sales and operating revenue. 1.5 billion is the income from their investments in other companies. Other income, 700 million. Let's see if they give a different breakdown of the revenue. Of the $88 billion of operating revenue, $36 billion in the US, $51 billion outside the US. Their second biggest country is Canada, $7.8 billion, then the UK, Singapore, France, Germany, Australia. Here's another breakdown of the $88 billion of revenue. Upstream, $7 billion US, $3.6 billion non-US. Energy products, $25 billion US, $41 billion non-US. Chemical products, $2.2 billion and $3.7 billion. Specialty products, 1.5, 3.2. Let's go back to the income statement. Below revenue are their expenses. The cost to pull the crude oil or purchasing products is $51 billion. Production and manufacturing, $10 billion. Then you have SG&A, that's $2.3 billion. Depreciation, $6.3 billion. Other taxes and duties, $7 billion. So total cost, $77 billion. Their operating income is revenue minus expenses, $13 billion. $4 billion of taxes. So their net income is $9 billion. Their EPS is $1.92, down from $2.25. Let's look at their balance sheet. $94 billion of current assets, $70 billion of current liabilities, so current ratio above 1. Their biggest asset is PP&E, $300 billion. Liabilities, $186 billion. Accounts payable, $60 billion. This is how much money they owe others when they buy on credit. $40 billion of deferred income taxes. These are taxes the company will eventually pay, but are not due yet. Long-term debt, $37 billion. Assets minus liabilities equals equity, $276 billion of equity. They raised $47 billion from selling stock. They earned $468 billion from running their business, and they bought back $230 billion of their own stock. Here's a statement of cash flows. Operating cash flow, $43 billion. Last year, $42 billion. The way you calculate that, you start with your net income, $27 billion. You add back the non-cash items on the income statement, $17 billion of depreciation, and then you adjust for changes in working capital. In their investing section, they spent $18 billion in PP&E. This is for the trailing 9 months. In their financing section, they paid $12 billion of dividends. Last year, $11 billion. They bought back $14 billion of common stock. They sure buy back a lot of common stock. Let's look at a stock on Simply Wall Street. Its last price, $118, $518 billion market cap, down 2% in the past week, up 15% in the past year. Here's where the stock has been trading since 1990. It was $12, and then over the next 18 years, it pretty much only went up, getting close to $100. And then oil prices came down, so did the stock price, falling to below 60 in 2010. Then it ran up to 100 in 2014. Like most stocks, it dropped a lot in the first quarter of 2020 to $30. But ever since then, the stock has done really well. It more than tripled since that point. Simply Wall Street's valuation is $212. They say the stock is 44% undervalued. 26 analysts priced this stock at $132. Their revenue was almost $400 billion in 2013, and then it came down a lot to $200 billion in 2016. Then it came up, then down, then below $200 billion in 2021. Then it reached its peak over $400 billion in 2022. Came down a little since then to $340 billion. Here's their debt since 2013. It was $22 billion. The peak was $68 billion in 2020. They have paid a lot down. It's $40 billion currently. But their equity is always a lot higher than their debt. Equity at its highest point ever, $276 billion. And they have a lot of cash on their balance sheet, a lot of cash relative to their debt. Their cash balance is about 65% of their debt. Here's their dividend yield since 2015. It was a little over 3%. The peak was 9% in 2020, but it did come down from then. Now it's back to a little over 3%. The forecast is 3.5% by 2026. In the past year, there's been 4 insider sells, 1 buy. 65% of the company is owned by institutions and 34% by the general public. Vanguard is their biggest shareholder, then BlackRock, State Street. JP Morgan, 1.4%. BNY, 0.86%. UBS, 0.7%. Fisher, 2/3 of 1%. And their employee count has come down from 75,000 to 62,000. And the ticker trades on the New York Stock Exchange, London Stock Exchange, Mexican Bolsa, Lima Bolsa, Deutsche Börse, the Bern, Zitra, Santiago, Wiener Börse, Euro TLX, Kazakhstan, Bulgaria, Santiago, BATS Europe, Buenos Aires, and Sao Paulo Bolsa. If you want to learn how to build a discounted cash flow model in Excel, click on the video in the top right corner. Thanks for watching.